What medicine taught me about not knowing. There is something called as Heisenberg uncertainty principle. Well, don't worry, we are not talking about quantum physics. I barely survived physics the first time, and I'm certainly not coming back years later for revenge. But the idea of uncertainty, it really fascinates me because human beings have spent an extraordinary amount of effort trying to eliminate uncertainty. Say, for example, we plan careers, we plan marriages, we plan children, we plan investments, retirements, we have 5-year plans, 10-year plans, and calendars telling us what we are supposed to be doing at 4:30 next Thursday. And somewhere inside all that planning, we quietly begin believing something, that the future has agreed to cooperate. Well, it hasn't. One phone call, one medical report, one accident, one resignation, one person walking into your life, or one person walking out of your life, and suddenly the future you had so carefully rehearsed doesn't exist anymore. I work in a place where I see that happen more often than I'd like, the emergency medicine department. And perhaps the strangest thing medicine has taught me is that the more you understand life, the more comfortable you have to become in saying, I don't know. Hello, everyone. I am Dr. Vamshidhar Argula. I am an emergency medicine physician, and this is CODEBLUE Confessions. And today, we are borrowing an idea from physics and then completely abandoning physics for the rest of whatever. Because I want to talk about something far more unpredictable, which is us, and our desperate need to know what happens next. There is a moment there, there is a moment that happens frequently in medicine. You examine somebody, you order the investigations, you look at the reports, you have the probable diagnosis, and then the family asks you a familiar question. Doctor, he'll be okay, right? It's such a simple question, but hidden inside those few words is an enormous request. They are not asking you for medical information anymore. They are asking you for the future. Tell me my father will come home, right? Tell me my wife will recover. Tell me this isn't cancer. Tell me my child will be fine. Tell me this, tell me that, tell me what happens next. And sometimes we can reassure them, and sometimes the evidence is overwhelmingly in their favor. But occasionally there is a pause because you know something they don't. Medicine has limits. And there are moments where the most scientifically accurate answer available to you is, I don't know yet. I used to dislike that sentence as a growing up medical student. I felt very incomplete. Doctors are supposed to have answers. You spend years accumulating knowledge precisely so people can come to you and ask, and you can tell them what is happening. But medicine has a wonderful way of humiliating certainty. Just when you think you have understood how diseases behave, a patient arrives and apparently the disease hasn't read the same textbook. Two people can have similar diagnosis and completely different journeys. One responds beautifully and other doesn't. One investigation reassures you and other creates panic and other creates three new questions, and suddenly medicine stops being a collection of answers. It becomes something much closer to a probability. This is what I think is happening. This is what the evidence suggests. This is what we need to watch for. This is what we'll do next. You notice something here? A good medicine is not always certainty. Often, good medicine is navigating uncertainty responsibly. And I started wondering, why don't we give answers? Why don't we give ourselves the same permission in life? Why don't we give ourselves the same permission? We want answers immediately. Am I in the right career? Did I marry the right person? Should I move on? Should I stay? Will this investment work? Will my children be okay? Will I succeed? Will I regret? We want somebody somewhere to hand us the report which says normal, continue current management, review in 30 years. Unfortunately, life doesn't have a radiology department, and certainty makes us uncomfortable. So we manufacture certainty. We say, by 35, I'll have this. In 5 years, I'll be there. Once I achieve that, I'll finally be relaxed. There is nothing wrong with plans. Plans give directions. I also make plans. The problem begins when a plan quietly becomes the contract with reality, because reality never signed it. I've seen people arrive in the emergency department on a completely ordinary days. That's something I don't think we talk about enough. Their morning was not cinematic. They did not wake up hearing background music. They had their proper breakfast, argued about something stupid, checked their phones, thought about their work, maybe complained about traffic, maybe postponed calling somebody, maybe they said, I'll do it tomorrow, and then something happened. Suddenly, their ordinary Tuesday become a day their family would never forget. Working around that changes the way you think about time, not in a depressing way, in a clarifying way, because you begin understanding how much confidence we placed in a word later. I'll try later. I'll call my parents later. I'll spend time with my children later. I'll look after myself later. I'll tell about person how I feel later. I'll enjoy my life later. I'll enjoy my life once everything settled down. But when exactly does everything settles down? I've been waiting. Apparently, life has not received a memo. There will always be another problem, another responsibility, another target, another expense, another ambition, another reason today is today is not quite the right day to start living the life you have been postponing. And perhaps uncertainty isn't the enemy here. Perhaps the illusion of certainty is the enemy, because believing there will be always a later makes it incredibly easy to waste the present now. There's another side to uncertainty that I've started appreciating. Uncertainty is not only when bad things live, it's also where possibility lives. Think about it. If you knew everything that would happen in your life, every success, every disappointment, every person you would meet, every mistake, every goodbye, would you actually want to know? Imagining knowing the date of every achievement, every heartbreak, every loss, every surprise. We say we want clarity, but perhaps what we really want is certainty only about the things we are afraid of. We still want a good surprises. We want unexpected phone call, the opportunity we never imagined, the person we were not looking for, the door we did not know existed. We want life to be predictable and magical. And exactly the same time, human beings are complicated customers. And maybe that's why uncertainty deserves a better reputation. It frightens us, yes, because it contains everything we cannot control, because it also contains everything that has not yet happened. The life you currently have probably contains things an earlier version of you never predicted. People you did not know, places you have not imagined, decisions you have not planned. Some of the most important chapters of your life, of our lives, begin as sudden surprises and interruptions. Medicine slowly taught me that uncertainty does not always require an answer. Sometimes it requires a next step. I I don't need to know everything about what happens to this patient over the next 6 months to know what I need to do in the next 10 minutes. I stabilize, I investigate, reassess, ask for help, maybe the next decision, then make another. Maybe life works more like, life works more like that than we would like to admit. You don't need an entire roadmap. Sometimes you just need enough courage for the next turn, for the next walk. And that has changed what certainty means to me. I am less interested in knowing exactly what my future looks like because I can't. What I can decide is how I meet it. Will I remain curious? Will I still take risks? Will I tell people they matter while they are around to hear it? Will I keep learning? Will I allow myself to change direction without treating it as a failure? Changing the direction of life does not mean it is a failure. What I actually experience my life instead of endlessly preparing for the next version of it. Those questions I can answer. Maybe the uncertainty principle I actually care about, not the one belonging to the physics, the one belonging to the life. We cannot know exactly what comes next, but perhaps we were never supposed to. Make plans, absolutely, build careers, save money, fall in love, take responsibility, dream ridiculously big, book a ticket, make the first 5 year plan. Just don't become so confident about tomorrow that you forget today is the only part of the plan that has actually arrived. I am Dr. Vamshidhar Argula, and this is Code Blue Confessions. And as always, I want to leave you with a question, not for doctors, but for everyone. If you knew absolutely nothing about what tomorrow would bring, would you still be happy with the way you are living today? Until next time, good day.